mathematicians are not born, they're made. And the old age saying, practice makes perfect. And although it may not be perfect, but it will certainly help you become better at what you're practicing. So many of our students would experience so-called mathematics anxiety, which is essentially dread of mathematics. It is a common problem, and it often manifests itself in students just avoiding doing maths. If you are avoiding these tasks, that leads to procrastination, and we all know what happens when students procrastinate. It leads to poor learning outcomes, and they just don't perform as well as if they weren't procrastinating in this course. But the reality is that mathematics and anxiety, it actually starts way before they come to university, and it actually starts at home. So, since we can't change the past, we as teachers can do something to make a positive difference to our students who might be experiencing this so-called anxiety. So, by using different approaches, we just have to help them gain control over things that they fear the most. We need to help them overcome their fear, over time, help them build confidence in doing mathematical tasks, and develop positive attitude towards what they're doing. And you can achieve that by giving them lots of opportunities to practice numerical questions. You also should give them a lot of resources so they can understand how to do these questions, and provide timely feedback. Essentially, their big first assessment, which usually would be the test, should not be the first time they get the feedback that they probably should have started studying a lot sooner. So your task as the teacher to eliminate those triggers of anxiety among students. Now let me give you a background about my course. I teach Property 251. This is property finance and investment. And it begins with basics of time value of money. Everything is really that builds the foundation for the rest of the course. And once the students understand time value of money, we'll move on to how that applies in mortgage financing, where a lot of questions they might be able to solve just using the calculator, but then we'll go to more complex problems with developing cash flow models for investment analysis. Of course, students come into class, and given that our degree is quite multidisciplinary, some of them can get by through the degree, not really engaging fully with all the numerical, developing all kinds of numerical skills. So, so the course like property finance does cause a lot of stress among students. But the feedback that we get from the industry is that actually we want our students to really not just memorize steps of how to solve a question, but we do want them to be able to understand what they're doing, to interpret the numbers, and perform this sophisticated analysis themselves. So how do I solve this question of trying to help students build confidence? I do develop problem sets for every lecture or topic in my course. So they do get lots of opportunities to practice a variety of questions. And then I set up weekly quizzes. They are assessed. So I use assessment as a kind of nudge for them to actually engage with the material. So they do have to look to practice sets before they do their quiz. And also, actually, I found that doing these assessed quizzes, it kind of creates this environment where students begin to collaborate and talk to each other, and how do you solve this or that question. How can we actually do this? Well, in Canvas, we all are using Canvas. We can start from scratch and start creating problem sets on Canvas, typing in questions in Canvas. But you'll find that will probably create one problem set, and the issue with that is that the problems are static, and students will go through one problem set and they're hungry for more. And all the students are pretty much going to be served the same set of questions with the same set of assumptions. And you hear a lot from students that, I want more problems, give me more problems. Well, you can create question banks within Canvas, but again, it's time consuming. Creating hundreds of questions, it's just hard to imagine. Calculating it yourself and then creating all of these right answers, wrong answers. So how can we do it more efficiently? And one way I found to doing that is you can create questions in a more familiar environment, such as Excel. And Excel is quite a powerful tool to be able to set up formulas and calculate all kinds of combinations of questions, numerical questions. And you can create them and create a package that can then be directly imported into Canvas. So one of the tools that allows us to do that is into Canvas you can import so-called QTI packages, and you can use Respondus to create this package of questions. But you still will be creating your question banks in Excel or Word. How do you do that? As I said, you would use some offline environment, such as Excel. So I use Excel to create question banks. So for a single question, a text, I can create thousands of questions that just randomly draws from a bank of assumptions. I then have to export those questions into Word because Respondus works with one of the files. It doesn't actually converts Excel files. It does have to convert Word files, but there are ways of sending Excel files into Word. And then within Respondus, all the magic happens. It creates a QTI zip file, which then you import into Canvas. So just what is here in text, just a few pictures to go with that. Essentially, this is my Excel spreadsheet. In the bottom, you can see here, there are tabs. These are the different questions. So for example, this is the time value of money topic that I'm covering. I've created 21 questions. So on each of these tabs, there is a question. And on this particular tab, there is a question. So it's just a single question, but you can see that it draws. So you have to set up the question in a way where all of the numerical assumptions are coming from the randomly generated numbers. So you set up assumptions, set up the text where it links to those assumptions, and then you use this column to calculate your right answer. So obviously you're using the formulas to calculate right answer. And then of course in Excel, you can set up your wrong answers can either be randomly generated wrong answers, but you can also, if you've taught a course many times, you would know what are the common ways students might be making a mistake. So you can set up where you solve a question in a way that specifically sets them up, in a sense. So this is all a possibility within Excel as well. And also what's good, you can create many wrong answers. You don't have to limit yourself to just 3 multiple choice options. In my case, I have 7. The reason I want to give them lots of answers is because it eliminates the guessing game. It makes guessing a lot harder for them to choose the right answer. So once you've calculated all your right and wrong answers, you set up a one long syntax where it takes the words of your question and then next attaches to it all of your right answer and the wrong answer. You'll see that those pipes in the question is really just so that I can then export that into Word and then make that one line into what you can see in Word, where it breaks up the question and gives you the options of multiple choice in Word. The way responders asks you to set up your question answers is that your right answer has to be on the top, marked with an asterisk, and then however many options you want to give them for the wrong answer. But the thing I don't tell my students is my right answer is usually not the lowest and not the highest. That's why it's very important to shuffle questions when you are actually setting up a Canvas quiz. So after all of the questions are pasted into a Word document, I can then work with responders, where you just open a responders, say that you want to import questions from Word document, so you go and browse to wherever you save your Word document, and then you save it as a QTI XML file that is ready to be imported into Canvas. So once you're in Canvas, all you're doing is you're just importing new course content, and it goes directly into your quizzes. All of the question banks go into your quizzes, and all you have to do is add a new quiz when you're setting up a problem set. And just the only thing is that when you're setting up quizzes, you have to say that you're creating a new question group. After you've chosen making a new question group, you just link it to a question bank that you just imported into Canvas. So why do I do this practice problem sets or unlimited? Well, it is limited, but it's probably unlikely that student is going to actually go through 1,200 questions that are within that question bank. So why do I do this? Is that I can, as I said, to eliminate or help reduce an anxiety, you have to give students opportunities to practice. And with these Canvas quiz banks, I can give them unlimited opportunities to practice. And the quizzes that I do, essentially one of the biggest fears or one of the biggest kind of reasons for maths and anxiety is the fear of timed tests. Now, assessed quiz essentially tries to mimic the test by timing the students, but the environment is quite low stress. So essentially, as they're doing that task more and more, it helps them build that confidence, but at the same time still preparing them for that big assessment coming up. It's, as I said before, as far as assessed quizzes, the reason I give them marks is that it ensures that they do complete them, and it doesn't have to be a lot of marks. For me, I give them 0.5%, and I get at least 70% of students who complete these quizzes. And these quizzes, it's instant feedback, and our modern generation, they want things on the fly. So once they've done a question, they know immediately whether it's a right or wrong answer. And if they've done it right, it boosts their confidence that they can do something. If it's not right, they can go back because it told them there is a gap in your understanding. It also creates opportunities for collaboration, and here's a print screen from Piazza, and where you can see students are answering the questions. And I think that students get the most value from their learning is when actually they can explain how to solve a particular question. And there are students who are actively engaging and explaining others how to solve different questions. And also the beauty of the quiz bank is that every time you start a new quiz, you're served with a new set of assumptions. So you can't just send through social networks all of the answers to this quiz. They're forced, every time they open a quiz, they're forced to recalculate it. So what did I learn from my quiz banks? At my first attempt, I said, okay, here's these assessed quizzes. You have unlimited attempts to do it. But I did find that some students took advantage of it, and they just did the guessing. Some of them up to 50 times. Just guess, and the irony of it, that student didn't even get 100%. But I found that still most students do it within 3 attempts. Essentially, they open a quiz, they see what the questions are, they might go back to the problem set, see how to do those questions, And then on the second attempt, they might already be enough and they can do all of the questions. So in the last 2 semesters, I've been limiting their attempts to 5, and I find that this is more than enough for them to get 100% on the quiz. Another point is to give students lots of resources. And I do give them lots of resources, so it's kind of like their safety net. You don't want to leave them alone. I think there is a lot of, some students, you need to hold their hand along the course to build their confidence. So for every problem set I develop, I do a video where I go over the questions in the problem set, and then after the quiz is closed, I post another video where I actually open a Canvas page with the quiz and use a device, a tablet, to just go through the question and show them how to solve the right, how to find the right answer for it. So it builds up a huge bank then of videos for them to study for the test or revise for the exam. So since they do a lot of these numerical skills offline, where there is a lot of kind of learning that they can do, when I come to class, I can actually engage in more active learning, so I do use a lot of Kahoots in my class. And again, then since they have done the numerical stuff, in class I can more concentrate on conceptual questions. And again, they get instant feedback and I can discuss with them. So for some questions, actually, lots of students don't get the right answer. And that gives me feedback, not just to the students, but to me, okay, well, I need to discuss certain things with them a lot more. While some questions, or most of them get it, so we don't spend as much time in class on those questions. So I see that numerical courses, there's a lot of them in our university, but and the application of this question bank certainly goes beyond property and to a lot of courses within our faculty as well as outside our faculty.